Wrestling fans, I'm Dan Marty.
And I'm Mr. USA WWE Hall of Famer Tony Atlas.
Tony, we want to send out some special thanks to some very special people that have been helping make Wrestling Insiders happen. You have Brandon Stone in Algona, Iowa. He had the Jake the Snake t-shirt bundle. Craig Frada, Denver, Colorado, got an autographed print. Frank Riley of West Long Branch, New Jersey, the Undisputed Era autograph poster. Robert Brown of Nashua, New Hampshire. He's one of the heavy hitters. He's a big help to what we do, Tony. He got autographed posters of Finn Balor and Adam Cole. Joshua Kraft of Akron, Ohio, got the Oscar WrestleMania 35 photo. Summer Robbins of La Puente, California, the Sasha Banks WrestleMania 36 autograph photo. Sasha Banks autograph photo. And then, Tony, I know we were talking about this one before we went on the air. Mary Barrow of Montclair, New Jersey. She got the Braun Strowman autograph poster, not for herself, but for her niece Jackie, who was celebrating a very happy birthday. So we got to send Jackie a big happy birthday shout out.
Happy birthday, Jackie.
Jackie, happy birthday from a WWE Hall of Famer. All of the people we just mentioned have been getting, as you see on this set, we have such a great array of merchandise, autograph photos, autographed posters. We got Tony's artwork. We're going to be talking about that. We've got DVDs. We've got so much more on eBay. If you check out something on the eBay store that you know you really like, contact us, because if you set up something with us using PayPal off of eBay, eBay doesn't take a big cut, not only of the sale, but for some reason, eBay takes a percentage of what the shipping and handling costs. I don't want to bore you too much talking about it, Tony, but also want to point out, fans, we're going to have a great tribute to the man, the Ugandan Giant Kamala. But as you see right here, we have this 11 by 17 print of Tony's original drawing of Kamala, autographed by Tony. We only have one right now. Maybe for Christmas time we might have a few more. But if you're a big Kamala fan and you want more than just a print, Tony, I want you to show off this yourself. That you personally drew this up at your house in Auburn, Maine. That is the original drawing of the Ugandan Giant Kamala by Mr. USA Tony Atlas. I know Tony's good. This came out even better than I could have imagined. Kamala sat in this very studio where Tony is sitting right now. It was one of the most emotional interviews we've ever done. Kamala is a deep man, I guess is one way you could describe it. And how great would that look on in your wrestling fan cave if you're a great fan of WWF wrestling, world-class wrestling. Kamala competed around the world. He had a very tough end to life. We've been trying to raise funds to help his GoFundMe, to help with his funeral and wake expenses, and, you know, afterlife expenses. Even when we pass away, there are still costs that go along with the end of life, Tony. And I have to tell you, you did a beautiful, that's one of the best drawings I've ever seen you do. You put a lot of time into it.
Thank you.
All right, wrestling fans, right now, we're going to take a brief time out. When we come back, a brand new Wrestling Insiders is up next.
This is Mick Foley.
This is Harley Race.
This is Shelton Benjamin.
This is Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff.
This is the Monster Abyss.
And this is Daniel Bryan.
This is JBL, and you're watching the MWF.
Be there live.
Wrestling fans around the corner, around the world, welcome to another installment of Tuesday Night Wrestling Insiders at your house, even though we're in the studio, not up in Auburn, Maine. I'm Dan Marty, joined by my partner in crime, my amigo,
Mr. USA Tony Atlas with the dicey bicep. Look at that, baby. Boogie, 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 boogie.
They
Boogie,
jiggle
boogie,
more
boogie. Boogie, 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 boogie. Mr. USA Tony Atlas right here at your service.
They jiggle more than Vicente Ray Wasco's
I got a lot
breasts.
of jigger,
They
but I know how to fix that. I take duct tape and I pull the cheeks of my butt up and I duct tape my butt
Well,
up.
that's usually a good solution.
I duct tape everything up.
Tony, before we get to a very interesting topic of conversation this week, I think it would be nice to reminisce for maybe a minute or two. I know that usually in your mind means 15 or 20 minutes.
Oh!
Legitimately a minute or two. Yesterday was the official 19th anniversary of Boston Wrestling and the MWF. Can you believe that?
Wow.
19 years.
Wow, you've been on air longer than I've been living.
I don't know if I'd go that far. But it's unbelievable to look back that just a week or so after Ed Cohen of WWE told me they didn't need my help anymore, that myself and Chairman Neil Manolian, both of us in our very, very early 20s, started this fine organization. And here we are. Most groups don't last that long.
No, we don't.
We really have lost our minds to keep doing it, I guess.
Well, no, you got a passion for wrestling. You got a passion for the fans. And you know, without you, like I told you many times, Tony Atlas and a lot of us, we will be forgotten about. You have did so much for people like the Iron Sheik and a lot of great wrestlers, just like Marty Jannetty. We've been talking about Marty Jannetty. Was it for Boston Wrestling? Nobody would talk about Marty Jannetty. You just got through doing a tribute to Kamada, you know. How many programs out there that giving a tribute to these wrestlers? Every time a wrestler passes away, you give them a tribute. You have a show on them. You talk about it. So you don't only bring a lot of light to the living, but you bring a lot of light to those that have passed on, which you do a wonderful job. So yes, you deserve to be on air.
Well,
there's nothing like Boston Wrestling.
It's not just me, it's a combination of everybody. Look at the great folks we have working. We have Gabe Monzone directing. We got the prodigy Matt Degnan roaming around the studio. Walter Hillside when he's not Mountainside. Glantz when he doesn't no-show. Howard Miller, Cecil the Lion. We have so many great folks just in the studio, never mind those that contribute to the live events. But I look back sometimes and I think, Tony, my God, I was 20 years old when we started doing this, and now, you know, I'm closer to 80 than I am to 0 at this point after my birthday. But it's
How
just
old are you now?
20 plus 20.
You 40.
I am.
You 40 years old.
Where's my gift? You won't offend with cash.
You are 40 years old.
Yeah. And you met me when I was 13 working for Tony Rumble.
Wow.
Can you believe that?
I didn't know you were that damn old.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Wow.
But again, as far as what we're doing here, you talk about tributes. I wanted to let you know that the video we made for Bullet Bob Armstrong was very well received. The fans like it when you remember the legends. I think WWE really misses the boat. I know it's their company. They can produce their shows the way they want to. But where they produce so much repetitive programming, repetitive matches, repetitive interviews, I think they miss the boat sometimes when it comes to remembering the... Well, maybe they don't, but I'm just trying to say it in a more PC way, that I think they miss the boat in not talking about Bob Armstrong, about Kamala and people like that when they pass away. And I think there are so many fans that do enjoy hearing about these personalities, many of whom you've known much better than I did. Kamala did work with us here in the MWF over the years, but it's been an amazing ride, and more important than any of the wrestlers, more important than me, more important than you, more important than the support staff, the people we have to thank the most are those watching at home, great professional wrestling fans. If there are no professional wrestling fans, do not be fooled. There is no professional wrestling. There's no in-ring wrestling. There are no interviews. There are no talk shows. There's nothing. The true superstars of the industry are those that watch and support what we do. So after 19 years of sacrificing my sanity, my wallet, my friendships, my relationships, and a lot of crazy adventures in between, even being blown up by a drunk driver with the iron cheek, imagine that, I thank you very much. Thank you for being here. To Chairman Manolian, who again, we were in high school together and we started this great wrestling organization. Thank you for the times you've helped. And for the two little Marathis, Baby Devon, Brandon J., I thank them very much for allowing me to be involved in this odyssey, this adventure that is professional wrestling, and hopefully we can keep doing it. I don't ever want to retire, Tony. I don't know about you, brother. Black Lives Matter. I don't know, Tony. We tape a lot of episodes on these days. But back to the topic at hand, we had a very nice tribute to 19 years of Boston wrestling and going into some of the social issues of the day. But you mentioned a few minutes ago that we've brought Marty Jannetty's name to life, Tony. Marty,
that's right.
As you know,
nobody would think about him to Boston wrestling.
He's here Thursday nights at 9 o'clock each and every week. But Tony, did you hear about the murder confession?
No.
I tell you, Tony, this has been featured in TMZ, People Magazine, Fox News, Variety Fair, the New York City newspapers. Marty posted something on Facebook very late at night and then did an interview with us. I have to read it to you for you to get the full scope of it. I never told no one this, even my brother Gino, because Gino would have killed him, and I didn't want my brother gone. Hell, he'd only recently came home from Vietnam. I was 13 working at Victory Lane's bowling alley buying weed from a fag that worked there, and he put his hands on me. He dragged me around the back of the building. You already know what he was going to try to do. This was the first time I made a man disappear. They never found him. They should have looked in the Chattahoochee River. Then he went on to talk about...
How old?
13. And he went on to talk about a woman that was in the photo with him that I guess he was having some relationship problems with. But this went on to become social media headlines that Marty Jannetty confessed to murdering this man. I looked at it as a 13-year-old junior high school student that tried to fend off a man that was trying to sexually assault him.
How did he get rid of him?
When he was trying to attack him on the ground, he found a brick, and he used the brick repetitively on the man's head. Now, do you think that that's a fair assessment that the media has tried to portray Marty as this cold-hearted murderer? He was a 13-year-old kid that was being raped.
You got me on that one, brother. That's the first time I hear anything like that.
Well, as you digest it now that you're hearing it for the first time, what's your initial impression?
Would you
true?
Is it true?
The police are looking into it again, but I think the good thing is it is a 47-year-old cold case down in Columbus, Georgia.
There's no statute of limitation on murder. There's not. No. What was the man's name?
I don't even know if I should say that at this point.
Did
Bob.
Marty
Bob
mention
was
his name?
Yes.
He mentioned the man's name. The man ended up missing?
I know the police have, TMZ reached out to them and they said that they are going to investigate it, but they have other cases that are a higher priority right now.
Which means they don't believe you.
I don't know.
Well, when they do that to you, that means they don't believe it.
I hope for Marty's sake that is how it winds up.
Yeah.
Because I'll tell you this, I didn't know Marty pretty much at all before we started doing this talk show series. He's been with us 4 times this summer on episodes that are going to run through the end of 2020. And while he is a man that's been through a lot in his life, he's a good guy. I really like Marty an awful lot. We've taken to each other pretty well. Once TMZ got a hold of one of the interviews that we did about it, you know what that type of media will do. Again, it went from what I look at as a 13-year-old kid that was being sexually violated and trying to fend off the attacker to one of the headlines was WWE wrestler kills gay man. I mean, can you believe that from that story that I told you, that they'd try and sensationalize that story with that headline? That's a crock of bullshit.
Well, not really. He put it out there.
But from the story I told you,
he didn't even call him a gay man. He called him a fag. Okay, at least they gave the guy a little dignity there. Marty didn't give him
gave the sexual predator a little bit of dignity. I guess that's a great thing.
Yeah. Marty used
the F word.
Right. Because gay people get scrutinized all the time. For stuff like that. So. I don't know anything about that. I never heard it till just now.
This is just a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, that's why it's hard for me to comment on something I know absolutely nothing about. I can't sit here and be judgmental that he did the right thing or the wrong thing, or even if it's true or not.
Well, I tell you this.
I never heard it before, and I've been knowing Marty a long time, and I never heard that
It's
before.
the first he ever spoke of it. And I tell you this, and I believe, now that I've gotten to know him a little bit, I believe that's maybe why there are some things inside of his soul that have bothered him so much. To be attacked as a 13-year-old kid like that, and then to say that the man deserves respect 47 years after the fact because he used the F word.
But like I said, what I'm saying...
Did he deserved, the sexual predator deserved more respect than to be called the F word?
I don't know how we know that. We talk about a subject that we know nothing about.
We're going by Marty's version of it.
Only. The police didn't take it seriously either. They said, we got... Now, what police department said, we got other things that is more important? There ain't no police
Well,
department.
you're talking about small-town Georgia in a case that's 47 years old.
It don't matter. There's no policeman going to tell you that. I know a lot of policemen. They're not going to tell you
So
that.
you don't think either the police don't care or they don't
like
believe
I said,
it?
we don't know if it's true or not. A lot of Mad Dog Vachon, the Mad Dog, is a kid. If a story is worth telling, it's worth embellishing.
It's worth what?
Building up.
Oh, okay.
You
Oh,
know, like one time.
embellishing.
Right,
Okay.
and then he said the thing about wrestlers, we all looking for anger to get our name back out there. We're all looking for it. We're all looking for that one more big hoo-wah in the sun. You know, that's
So
why I
you
get
think
out here
Marty
all the
talking
time.
about
That's why I
attacking
get
this-
out here all the time talking about I want to fight Brock Lesnar, somebody that will break my back and make me a cripple for the rest of my life. But I say it anyway because it's Brock Lesnar.
You want the payday.
Everybody want that payday. So, what can Marty Jannetty do to bring attention to Marty Jannetty with all the other stuff is going on in the world?
You think the best way that Marty could bring attention to himself is by going on Facebook in the middle of the night, using the F word to talk about perhaps making a man vanish that tried to sexually assault him, so there were media headlines that said WWE legend kills gay man. You think that's helping his cause?
It did it? We talking about it.
Well, he's on this talk show,
Good
so...
news, good news, bad news to a wrestler is news. You in the light again. You're in the conversation again. There's a lot of guys that have did stuff in the past that put them back in the headlight. If you have no fear of any consequences, there no body, no crime. So they can't prosecute him.
I don't think you can drain a river from 47 years ago.
No body, no crime.
Let me ask you this.
I know a lot of policemen, no body and no crime. They need a body to prove that there was a crime first.
Do you think if there is any validity or truth to this story,
I don't know.
that justice was done?
No,
Why?
because I don't know if it's true or not.
I'm saying if it was true.
I don't deal with murder and killing nobody. A life is valuable regardless of how despicable it may be. I mean, he had family. There's a police department. There's many
You're talking 1973 small town Georgia.
It don't matter. Well, there have been worse. The police would have done worse to him. Back in Georgia, I'm from Virginia, and gays were really, really hated back in them days. Hated. They would have, if they had found out, if he had told one person that, they would not only kill him, they would have killed his family too. The gays have always been hated in this country. My first experience with gay people, I was at the Virginia Negro Baptist Children's Home.
That was the name of it?
Yep, the Virginia.
They called it the Negro Children's Home?
No, Negro is Spanish for black.
Oh,
But
okay.
most uneducated people that don't know things, we are, we were called Negro because the Spanish was involved in the trade state. So the slaves didn't come straight from Africa to America. They went to Cuba first. Mm-hmm. And then from Cuba, they were shipped from Cuba to America. And so Negro, it's not Negro, it's Negro. It's Spanish for black. You're like, this here, that's Negro. And the Spanish, and that's where they got the name for black. It's Spanish for black. If anybody know anything about Spanish, it's not a derogatory name. We are Negroes, we black. It's Spanish, because the Spanish was involved in the slave trade. It wasn't just the European. There was somebody had to go over there and get the slave, and most of the time it wasn't a European,
Yeah.
It was, the Spanish was involved, the French was involved, the Arabs was involved. So it wasn't just, white people got blamed for the thing. They was the receivers, not the givers.
They weren't the FedEx delivery guys.
Right.
Yeah.
They was like you order a pizza. They were the guy to deliver the pizza.
It's amazing how you can come up with an analogy for slave trades and Domino's Pizza.
Yeah. The guy sold the pizza, and you the customer, you bought the piece.
Yeah,
I mean,
you had it delivered.
Right, slavery was something it was not created here in America. We did not create slavery. It was around thousands of years before America even existed. You go around, you read the Bible, you know, the Jewish people were slaves to the Egyptian people back in them days. Different tribes were slaves to this tribe. So it's not, you know, something that it's not just an American thing, even though we was on the tail end of it. And most people only remember, when they look at a movie, they remember the beginning of the movie and the end of the movie. And what went on in between, most of the time, same thing in the rest of most of the time people forget. But anyway, the term, I was at the Virginia Negro Baptist Children's Home in Chesterfield County. That's right on outside of Petersburg and Richmond, Virginia. Hopefully all that area. But anyway, they called a meeting one day. They said, we got a young man coming in. He's different from the rest of you. So sure enough, he came in. We thought it was a girl at first. He was real feminine looking. He would switch when he walked, and all the guys knew that he was homosexual. But anyway, I remember we had a baseball game, and every time he went to the baseball game, get away from me, blah, 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 they run him away. When we go to dinner, he had to sit at the table by himself. The other guy wouldn't sit with him. So what they did, the Baptist children were all farm work. They have tractors, mules, horses, chickens, pigs, cows, everything. It was like a big farm. So they wouldn't let him come out with us when we worked because the guy would pick on him so bad. So they let him work in the kitchen with the girls. So one night, for some reason, I don't know why, somebody just told me to wake up. So I woke up, and I'm the only one in my room. And it's four, let me see, I was on the top bunk, and my brother Charles was on the bottom bunk. Then I had a bed here, so there were like 4 people in each room, and it was like bunk beds in each room. So I noticed the only ones in the room were me and my brother Charles. So I said, Charles, where everybody go? He said, stay out of it, Tony. Don't get involved. Don't get involved. Because my brother Charles is older than me. He said, don't get involved. We both got sent there. Don't get involved. Don't get involved. So me being Tony, I want to see. All the guys that was picking on this gay guy was laying on top of him.
What do you mean laying on top
They
of
was
him?
having sex with him.
Everyone in the Negro children's
the main guys that ran him away and talked the worst about the gay people was the guys having sex with him at night. They was poking him in the butt at nighttime.
No, was this consensual?
I don't know. I
don't know.
I didn't stop them in the middle of it.
You didn't
just
have
say,
a
hey, did he volunteer? I didn't ask. I just tell you what I saw.
This almost could have turned into
I was 12 years old. I was 11, 12 years old when I was at Virginia Baptist Children's Home. But if I remember, I used to tell my brother Charles, I said, why they make fun of him and then go screw him in the butt at nighttime? See, he was okay then, but they didn't want him to be around them in public.
They were embarrassed.
I don't know what it was. I was a kid. I'm just telling you what I saw. I'm not a psychologist. That's that doctor.
Dr. David Reeves.
That's a good question for Dr. David Reeves. I'm not Dr. David. So, but I remember that. I remember that very, very well. How they used to always talk about gay people and how bad they were. But then came nightfall around 12, because we all had to go to bed at 9 o'clock. Because we got up at 4. You had to feed the cows by 6. Well, no, we got up at 5. You had to feed up, they call it.
Yeah.
That means slop the hogs, turn the cows out to the pasture. The cows, you'd let them go out in the pasture and they feed themselves. You had to slop the hog. Then we had to go into the hen house there and collect the eggs and take them to the kitchen so the girls would make our breakfast and stuff. And you had to, what they call a feed up. And then we would have at 7:30 we would have our breakfast. But you got to be finished your breakfast by 8. 8, you got to start heading for the fields.
Yeah.
And then you stay in the field until 11. Then at 11 o'clock, you came back, you wash up. At 11:30, we have our lunch. Then you went back in the field at 12, worked until 2. And then at 2, work until 4. And then you come wash up again. Then at 4:30, you have your supper. And then we go feed up at 5. Got to go to the pasture. And the funny thing about a cow, you open up the gate, and they would automatically start walking toward the gate. They knew it was time when you.
The cows were smart.
They knew.
Yeah.
A mule is the smartest animal on the farm.
Why is that?
One time the guy told me, he said, "Want to put the blinders on that mule, Tony, before you hook up the single tree to him." I said, "Okay." He said, "But don't let him see that plow. You hear me?" I go, "No, sir, I want to let him see the plow." Hey, dumb mule, what are you talking about? Don't let him see the plow. So the blinder is two things that come out like this. You ever seen that on them? It's a blinder, they call it. So I didn't put the blinders on. I hooked up the single tree, hooked the plow up to it and everything. And the mule come out of the barn, he's limping. I go tell Mr. Harris, I said, "Mr. Harris, something wrong with Tom. I think he got a bad leg or something." He said, "You didn't put that on him, did you?" I said, "No, sir. Didn't I tell you to put the blinders on?" He said, "Well, let Tom hook up Susie Q." Susie Q was a red female mule. Susie Q run with the plow. She run with that plow. So Mr. Garden said, "Come here, Tony." I said, "You didn't know nobody." He said, "But when I tell you to do something, I want you to do it. Next time you don't do what I tell you, I'm going to punish you." He said, "Come on, I want to show you something." So I got on the tractor with him. Tom, the old mule name was Tom. He was just walking, just like this, like nothing. I said, "Oh, he's okay now." He said, "Watch this." He said, "Get off the tractor and go stand by the gate." I got off the tractor and stood by the gate. Tom saw me.
He was selling.
Yes, went right back to limping.
The mule sold.
Went back to limping. Then another time, I've tried to bring him out of the barn to plow with him. And Tom is here, the wall is here. Tom leaned on top of me and held me there. They was looking for me. Where Tony? Where Tony? Finally, they come to see me. Tom was holding me against the wall, so I couldn't hook him up.
Really?
A mule, we used to pull stumps with him. Tom would pull that stump. If you don't hear that pop, that little slap cracker pop, he stopped. He would look over his shoulders like this at you. You started digging. Tom said, "Get up here, mule. Get up here. G, mule, G." Tom, pull again. He don't hear no pop. He stops. You dig around that stump some more. Tom pull, hear that crack. Now he get down to it now. He know he could do it now. We hear that first little crack in that stump. Now he gonna pull. A horse will pull till he kill himself. He don't have no sense to stop. A mule won't do that.
Did you ever, you know who Bull Montana is, right?
Yeah.
Did you ever hear the story about him and the horse?
Uh-uh.
I don't think the fans at home will enjoy this one, and it's really, you talk about off topic when we talk about Marty Jannetty, but have you ever heard of Suffolk Downs Racetrack in Revere, East Boston?
Yeah.
Famous racetrack.
Right.
Bull, and you know Bull, Tony's...
I went there with Tony Rumble. We're gonna do some shows there with the guy.
The guys in the booth are going to love this. They don't know Bull, but Bull is a little slow.
Yeah.
Special. His job was to, and this isn't even the punchline to it, his job was to go to Suffolk Downs. He'd get those big, like those yellow gloves you'd use to clean the kitchen at home and whatnot. He would masturbate the horses because they couldn't have sex. So one day after...
You joking, right?
No, this is all... But it's
Somebody played a joke on him.
That Bull, after he was done, Bull would go from the stable and he'd walk the horse back to where it was going to go. But as you know, Bull being kind of special, he'd kind of grunt.
Bull Montana, I know Bull Montana.
Yeah, how you doing, buddy?
Yeah.
He'd make... I guess the horse
You know he was in the military? He's a veteran.
Can you believe that?
He's a veteran.
Can you believe that?
Yeah.
Well, he started making ththose noises, and the horse was blindfolded, and it got confused. So the horse started going, and Bull started going,
Come on,
and the horse and Bull started going, The racehorse broke away from him blindfolded and ran headfirst into a telephone pole and died.
No.
Swear to God.
Oh, God. That's almost as butter as Birdhead Jones.
I don't think the horse knew what to think of it between first being pleased by Bull Montana's hand, then running blindfolded into a telephone pole and dying. Now, can you imagine those racehorses go for big money?
Yes.
And Bull killed it with his grunting.
Grunting him.
But at least he died a happy man a few minutes before.
Yeah, he got a hand job. That's
Tony,
that's almost as bad as Birdhead Jones.
I don't know who that is.
Birdhead Jones was a wrestler. He was Rufus R. Freight Train Jones' cousin. He had a flat chest on one side. So I asked him one time what happened to his chest. He said he was trying to stump break a mule, and the mule kicked him. I said, what? Stump break a mule? He get up on a stump and pulled the mule to him and screwed the mule. Well, the mule didn't like it, so the mule kicked it and tore his muscle.
Well, that's what it's almost, I guess, like what happened with Marty and the guy at the bowling alley.
And I said, you mess with animals? He said, yeah. He said, I used to do the chickens, and then I got caught, so I couldn't do the chicken no more. I said, what happened to the chicken? I said, where you put it at on the chicken? He said, where the egg come out at?
Oh, my God. Boy, is this show taking a dive off the deep end, so to speak. There was plowing going on at the fields on Tony's Negro farm in Virginia. There was plowing going on with the feminine guy after hours. But I tell you this, as far as the Marty Jannetty story goes, Tony, I think if it's true, the man deserved to die. Anyone that sexually assaults a kid, fuck him. Because I tell you this, I probably would not have been the first time this man tried to attack a kid. And if he was successful with Marty, it wouldn't have been the last time he attacked a kid. And those kids grow up to be very screwed up people. I'll give you a point and example. It relates to the WWF sex scandals of the 80s and 90s. We've never even gotten into on these shows. There was a member of that ring crew, I believe his name was Tom Cole. He was violated by the cream team of the Mel Phillips and the Terry Garvins of the world. He wound up suing the company. He wound up coming back to the company. And do you know what Tom Cole did when he became an older man? He molested kids. So you know what? If that guy did to Marty what he said to do, fuck him. Whether he vanished, whether he drowned in a river, whatever might have happened to him after his altercation with Marty, good riddance. You have a kid, I have kids in my life, fuck them. One man's opinion, we disagree a little, but we're still friends.
I just believe that there's other revenues. Why?
Other revenues? Was he going to make money? Was he going to write a book?
Well, no, I mean other revenues are taking care of these problems.
Other avenues, you mean?
But that happened twice to me. You don't know that.
Well, the one time I remember you said you went with a man from, I don't know if it was the Boy Scouts or something like that.
No, the Big Brothers.
And he brought you and your brother to a pond or something, and you thought it was a fish. And what was the second time?
The second time, the guy pretended to be a policeman.
Really?
Yep. And both times, well, the first time, he didn't do nothing. He kept going underneath the water, touching us, you know. And I felt something like a mouth grabbing my pecker. Oh, you go, in old days, we go what they call skinny dipping.
Yeah.
You take your clothes off and you swim naked, called skinny dipping. So I'm in the water and I felt something on me, I'm jumping. So I had my brother Charles with me. Charles, you know, now Charles is 6'4", 6'6".
Big guy.
Huge guy, huge, even now. He weighs about, people in Roanoke know exactly what I'm talking about. Charles weighs about 300 pounds now. He lost weight. He lost weight. He was up to 365.
Wow.
Charles was so strong, the first day I took him to gym, he bench pressed 500. I couldn't even, never worked out for him.
Wow.
I had to build myself up, but Charles was always just naturally this big, husky guy. So Charles grabbed me by and said, come on, this is the word we used to use back then. He's funny. So I went by the house, and he came by again, a big brother, and he told my mother, I told my mom about him, because I was hiding, and my mother said, come on, boy, he's ready to go. And all my brothers saw him coming, and I didn't. I stayed at home because I was helping my grandmother at home, wash dishes and stuff. And I didn't see him come. My brother Charles and Norris and Walter, they saw him, and they knew how he was, so they took off running and hid. I'm in the house. So my mother said, well, the only one is home. Now, she know nothing about it. She said, the only one is home right now is Gerald. That's my mother's name, Anthony Gerald White.
She would call you Gerald?
Gerald.
I never knew
Gerald.
that.
My grandmother gave me that name. That's why she called me Gerald, because my grandmother liked that name. My mother named me Anthony because she liked Anthony Quinn, because in the movie, Anthony Quinn never hit a woman.
And look at how you grew up. Isn't that interesting?
I never hit a woman.
Isn't that interesting?
Anthony Quinn never in a movie. You watch all these movies, my mother said he never hit a woman. She said, now that is a real man. John Wayne hit women, Clint Eastwood hit women. Every movie, they all abuse women. Anthony Quinn never abused a woman on screen. And that's what mother liked about it. Because she would just get beaten all the time by my father.
I remember.
Yeah, get beat by. So anyway, I told my mom about it. I said, Mom, he's funny. She said, what did he do to you? I said, we in the water and he touched my pee-pee. So my mother went back, reached underneath her mattress, got her 38, put it behind her back.
Your mother had a gun?
Oh, yeah,
Really? All right.
Who gonna protect you in the black neighborhood in the 50s?
All
Who
right.
in the fuck gonna protect a black woman? They don't even protect them now in the neighborhood. What mess less then?
From your lips to God's ears.
That's right.
Yeah.
So in the black neighborhood, you learn to protect yourself at a very young age because you can't depend on the police for nothing in the
So
black
Mama
neighborhood.
Atlas was packing
Nothing.
heat.
Nothing. So she was our protector. So he didn't know he had a gun. She never showed it to her. Because mother said, never pull a gun unless you're going to use it. She wasn't, we know that they didn't point no gun at you. When that gun came out, the bullet came out right with it. Otherwise, don't pull it. If you ain't going to use it, don't pull it. That's what we all learned. So she put her arm up against the door like that. She said, look, I know what you did to my boys. I'm not going to say nothing about it. I want you to leave my boys alone. So he acted like he wanted to lunge at me because he knew I told. My mother said, look, I'm telling you, I don't want no trouble, but I go to jail for my kids. I would go to jail for my kids. Lord help me, I would go to jail for my kids. So he turned around, I never see him again. Another time, I'm walking with my brother, Noise, he went to the military, spent 35 years, he's a veteran. Green Beret, he lives in Washington State now. Dangerous man I ever know in my life. Dangerous as hell. He's nobody you want to mess with, let's put it that way. He was a Green Beret and all, he's all into karate, special force, all this stuff. 35 years he spent in the military. The hardest thing for Noise to do when he got out of the military, he lived civilian life again. He's what you call a neat freak. He would fold his socks, fold his underwear. He would iron his socks and iron his underwear. Everything got to be crisp with him. But anyway, I was walking with him, was in Clifton Fords, Virginia. And was it Clifton Fords? Covington, Virginia. So my shoes kept coming off. And I kept tying them, they kept coming loose. So I stopped to tie my shoes when Noise kept walking because I knew where he was going. He said, don't you be late, you better catch up with me. So he kept walking. So I said, this guy pulled up in a car, pulled out a police badge. Probably was a fake badge, I don't know. He said, are you so-and-so? He said, what's your name? I told him my name. He said, do you know we got a warrant for you? I go, I didn't do nothing. He said, well, we're going to clear this up. You get in the back of the car there. So I get in the car. He went about a couple of blocks. Evidently, my brother Norris must have saw it. So we go in the woods there, and he said, I got to make sure you got no weapons on you. Take your clothes off. I said, I ain't got no weapons. I said, take your clothes off. I ain't taking my clothes off. This guy started punching me in the freaking head and beating me for what you call a billy club. He said, take your clothes off. He said, you want some more of this? Take your clothes. So I'm crying and everything. I'm pulling my pants down. As soon as I got my pants down, all of a sudden I hear something go whack, whack, whack. I turn, there's my brother Noise. Noise broke a branch off the tree and he beating the shit out of this guy with this branch. He said, run, Tony, run. So I took off running. I left my pants in the woods.
You left your pants in the woods. All right.
I ran all the way home I had a shirt on. I ran all the way home with no pants on. So I was lucky that it didn't happen to me during that time. From that day on, I went to work one day and I saw Steve Reeves in a movie playing Hercules. I said, that's how I want to be.
No one would mess with you. So maybe in reality, if you look at the deep psychology of you as a human being, maybe you went on to become Mr. USA because you were attacked when you were a kid. And I say
You know how old I was when I started boxing?
You weren't even about 10, right?
6.
6 when you started to box. Wow.
When I would go to Puente after that. I started amateur wrestling when I was in the 7th grade.
Wow.
I used to go to the gym every day. I took judo every Saturday, judo classes every Saturday for 10 years at the YMCA. I wrestled for 5 years, started first with JV, called it junior varsity. So I wrestled in the 7th grade, the 8th grade, the 9th grade, the 10th grade, the 11th grade, 7 years as an amateur wrestler. And 10 years as a 10 years as a boxer. And I took judo for about 8 of them 10 years. I was always into combat sport. From that day on,
No one was going to attack you again.
That scared me to death. Always thought about I always think, but I had no ill feeling against gay people, because a pedophile. I got a lot of gay friends. They won't touch a kid.
Not everybody that's gay is going to try and molest someone.
No. And so gay people, like he said, a gay guy, he wasn't a gay guy, he was a pedophile. Most gay guys I know don't mess with kids. They just like us. You know, most men don't mess with kids. Most women don't mess with kids. We mess with each other, but just because a guy is gay don't mean that he's a pedophile.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? A pedophile is something totally different. A pedophile don't care if it's man or woman. It's just the idea of dominating. It's about domination. You know, and I know a little something about domination. Now me, I like to be dominated by a woman. I like a domineering woman. My mother was domineering. My grandmother was submissive. My mother was very domineering. So I like domineering women because I feel safer around a woman that stands up for themselves. Like a lot of people, Hillary Clinton came across as being dominant, but she wasn't. She was very submissive.
Would you let Hillary Clinton walk on you?
No. I let that Spanish girl do it, though.
AOC?
No, with them pretty lips there. What's her name? She's Spanish.
The one from New York?
I don't know where she's from, but she's...
Well, that really narrows it down,
What was
Tony.
her name now?
AOC, she goes by? Kind of a younger woman?
Yeah, she's young. She just got elected this year, too. Trump used to call her, she was part of the squad, they call them.
I think that's who you mean, AOC.
Yeah.
Would you let Nancy Pelosi walk on you?
Now, why are you getting all these old grandmothers?
You like young feet?
If that's supposed to be pushing 80, come on, she fall and break her neck and sue me. Give me somebody young.
Melania Trump, would you let her walk on you?
No, she looked like a man.
All right, well, you think Melania Trump looks like a man?
Yeah, look at her, like a big transvestite.
What about Ivanka Trump, the daughter? Would you let her walk on you?
She looked like Tweety Bird.
You know what? She does look kind of like
She looked like Tweety Bird. You ever seen Tweety Bird?
Would you let Susan Collins walk on you?
Oh, come on now. She like the wife of Frankenstein.
Kind of like a platypus.
Yeah, you always.
What about Olympia Snow?
Leave these long women alone. Get out of the nursery home, man.
How did we come
How
did we come up
you
with
trying
these
to say
topics?
that I'm so old that all the day I get walked on, I got to go to the nursery home to get walked on?
Well, I know you're well versed in the politics. I didn't know what you...
Yeah, but you're picking all these 70, 80-year-old women. They in their 70s
You like
now.
young feet.
Well, not too young. I like
Middle-aged feet.
Between 40 and 60.
Would you let Michelle Obama walk on you?
Oh, hell yeah.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Do you think Michelle's got some stiff feet? She's kind of a big woman.
She's hot.
She's hot.
She's cute as hell. Yeah.
Well, Tony, I understand we're running out of time in this episode, as I believe the man that Marty encountered should die. We talked about feet. We talked about the various forms of how you were attacked. We talked about plowing at the farm. We talked about plowing in the bedrooms at the farm after hour.
I let Stephanie McMahon.
Stephanie McMahon could walk
hell
on.
yeah.
Now, what about Linda McMahon?
No.
No, just Stephanie.
She passed that age. I said between 40 and 60.
A younger Linda McMahon.
Yes, she was cute in a younger age.
You would have let Linda walk on.
Yep, between 40. I don't fool with no woman under 40.
Yeah.
And none over 60. Between 40 and 60 in my range of a woman.
That is your pristine age for a woman to walk on you.
40 to 60, yeah.
right.
40. Because, you know, she's a woman. I don't believe in robbing the crater, and
Yeah.
I don't believe in destroying. See, a lot of young, especially in my neighborhood, I don't mean to get into it or drag this out, but among black people, y'all may hear me say this 1,001 times. I'm going to keep saying it until it stops. 75% of black kids grow up without a father. In other words, 75% of black women get mistreated by black men. Because he impregnate that woman, but he don't hang around to do nothing for the child.
Right.
And if in order for a child to grow up fatherless, that means the father is not involved in that child's life. But that means that woman have to, imagine the pain that goes through a woman that fall in love with a man, bear a man child, and then the man, once the child comes, he walk away from it. It's like it's nothing, go impregnate another woman. 75% of black women are single mothers. 75%. And then they wonder why black people can't move ahead in this country. It's got nothing to do with President Trump. It's got nothing to do with the government. It's got nothing to do with the media. Sometimes people have to take responsibility for their own action. When I lost my job with the WWF, you never hear me blame Vince for firing me. I put myself in that position, not me by myself, there was others along with me, I had plenty of company. We put ourselves in a position where Vince had to make a decision. He did. He had to make a decision.
That's just the rhyme that you just made. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but he did. He had to make a decision whether to keep the troublemakers that is hurting his company and put people in that is more responsible than us. People ask, how come Jimmy Snuka never became world champion and bigger star as he was?
His own problems.
Because he was not reliable enough. Hulk Hogan, the thing about Hogan, he was reliable. Vince never had to worry about Hogan missing a show. Never had to worry about Stone Cold Austin missing a show. He never had to worry about these guys. So he could. You don't want to. Just like you said about the girl, where they invest all the money in the girl. You were talking about
Becky Lynch.
Yeah, Becky Lynch. They pour all this money, invested all this money in this girl. Then she go get pregnant.
Yeah.
You know that money is gone. You know, they
That time is gone.
They're going to have to reinvest in her to get her back to where she was before she took off. Well, the same thing with Tony Atkin when I took off around 82 or something like that before they gave me. 80, when I took off on them and ran to L.A., they had a lot of money invested. I see people now that come up to me and say, Tony, I remember I wanted to see you so bad when you was in your heyday. I'm happy to see you now, but I didn't see you when you were Jack. Mm-hmm. That's what they call it, Jack. I went to see you one time because I never saw a wrestler built like you before. I seen bodybuilders like that, but not a wrestler. I really, really want to see you. And he said, and George Wells took your place that night. You understand what I'm saying?
It's a disappointment.
He was disappointed for years. And this guy, he's a grown man now. He was probably in his late 30s, early 40s. He's telling me this, you know? Yeah. And he told me how it hurt him because he really, really wanted to. He came to the match, and the guy was in Rochester, New York. He told me. And I didn't show up for the match, and George Wells took my place. That's when I was, and I hear people come to me and tell me stuff. Well, Vince Sr. had a lot of money invested in me to get me to that point. And
all right, Tony, we got about 30 seconds. I'm hearing the music, baby. Take it home.
Sway low,
no, that's not what I meant.
Chariot, coming for to carry me home.
All right, well, all I can say is for our friend Marty Jannetty, I hope there is some form of healing that goes on with him, because he is a good man, and he went through turmoil as a kid.
I just can't comment on something I don't know.
I would love to have him talk maybe with Dr. David Reese about it. Maybe he could help.
Yeah.
And that would mean a lot to him, and I think it would mean a lot to the fans, too, because I think Marty has a lot to contribute to professional wrestling and life in general.
What do you think about him meeting RuPaul?
Well, I don't know about that. You'd have to talk to your friend from the Negro home. He could meet RuPaul. Maybe he was RuPaul, for all you know. Maybe that's what he went on to be.
You never know. You never freaking know.
For the Hall of Fame of Mr. USA, Tony Atlas, don't forget, the Super Chat is open. If you're with us Tuesday nights live, we're chatting during the premiere. We got all of this great merchandise available on eBay. If you reach out to us, set it up on PayPal. eBay doesn't get to slide in and take that percentage. We want to keep great legends like Tony working, like Marty, Brutus, Beefcake. Wait till you see who we got coming in this fall and winter, folks. Big things are happening in Boston wrestling. The Patreon, of course, you get early ad-free access to all of our Wrestling Insider talk shows, plus our entire studio shoot interview DVD library. Wait till you see the latest from the Iron Sheik. For the price of a cup of coffee at Starbucks, head on over to patreon.com/Boston Wrestling. For my compadre, Mr. USA, Tony Atlas, or Gerald as some people call him, I'm Dan Marati. Until next time, be well. More important, you and yours stay healthy. Good night.